keeping me up at night. I still see you like a ghost in my room. Now I know the truth, that it'll always be you. You are the love of my life.
Where we are standing today is part of the overall facility, but the first part of the building was created in 2015. Design in the company has been around since the late 90s, 2000s, and then a dedicated facility was created in 2015, and in 10 years from then we've now opened this brand new Mahindra India Design Studio.
Then we have design quality, which is actually a team that ensures that what gets signed off here goes through into production with. So they work on things like the gloss levels of a grain, or the fact that a 0.5 mil gap between panels always remains consistent at 0.5. So design quality again is headed by Pankaj, and design project management, CMF, design quality, they are very closely interacting with each other in the delivery of our products.
Hello and welcome to another episode at Commercial Vehicle Magazine in Auto Components India. Now you're seeing we have the CV of the year parked, and what are we doing with the vehicle? So we are now looking at the design aspect of the Vero. We are looking at the design aspect of the Mahindra Oja, and first let's stay on the topic on why we are here. We are here at the Mahindra Design India Studio, which obviously forms a very vital cog in the wheel of the overall design scheme. You know that Mahindra has the Advanced Design Studio Europe, M.I.D.S. That of course looks at advanced platforms like the Born Electric and the entire electric range that the company has been working on for the past 3 years. So we will of course come out to the derivatives of that. But having started from commercial vehicle, the idea was to show you that the India Design Studio is not just restricted to the Born Electric platform or the electric platforms. It encompasses the entire design activity at Mahindra. So whether it's the farming equipment, whether it's the SUV pickup, or whether it's the passenger vehicle side of scheme of things. Today of course also happens to be an important day where we've got the bigwigs of Mahindra Design. The entire design team has assembled over here. The architects of this design studio are over here in Mumbai, and then of course we have the man behind the design change at Mahindra, Mr. Pratap Bose himself. So we will of course give you insights from the leadership. We will try and get some snippets, and hope that you can hear the senior leadership tell you how models up till now have been conceptualized, and going forward what is going to be the design ethos at Mahindra. So you can look at the passenger side scheme of things. Mahindra has been and continues to dominate the SUV segment. You can look at the Thar Rocks. You can look at the 9e, which has been in the news. You can look at the BE6, and of course you can look at the XUV 3XO. All of these platforms that are in the news, that have caught the attention of the customer, are formed as a result of the hard work design philosophy that Mahindra follows. Mahindra is stressing on the fact that what catches the eye, what perhaps makes a connection with your heart, will perhaps compel you to take a decision. And these designs of course have certain elements If you look at the simple lines, the elevation, the aerodynamics, the use of material, and the entire form factor, all of that germinates from the Mahindra Advanced Design Studio here in Mumbai. Let's also take you through a quick look of the special materials that are being used for these premium vehicles. A little walk down the street. If I may just ask you to elaborate a little on the process. We've seen the machine working on the 5-axis aspect of it, then you all coming in and cleaning on the clay model. Now, what is the exact process that you're working on?
It's actually clay sculpting process.
Right.
First, machine mill the model.
Right.
Then we finish the model by hand using our clay tools. And after that, if designer says any changes, like the line goes, I want this line goes little down.
Right.
Then we will create all changes by hand.
Right.
So that's why.
Are those alterations very painstaking?
Yes.
Okay.
And this film we put the check. You can see the highlights are going. So this is the check foil.
Right.
It's a dyno.
Right.
Like that.
Right. Typically, for a complete end-to-end process from the time the 3D design is fed into the machine, and you all cleaning the clay modeling, you all reworking the design from the inputs of the team. What is the typical timeline? How long does it take?
It's depend upon how much changes they are doing.
Right. Right.
So,
and typically, how many reiterations do you all work on? Is it like an infinite process till the team is satisfied, or usually you all have a benchmark where you might do say 3 to 4 to 5 reiterations and then finally get it right? What is the typical average for both passenger vehicles and commercial vehicles?
Actually, first we start the model by sketch.
Okay.
Then after that, the many points come. It's like engineering inputs.
Right.
Some design directions.
Right.
So it's I can't say it's how much time it takes.
Right. It's a long process.
Yes.
Right. Right.
Exactly time I can't say.
Right. How much of this design is directly related to the structural strength of the vehicle that comes in at the body in white stage? How much of that initiative is ensured at your end? How are the two linked from this process seamlessly to the body in white?
It's very important actually.
Right.
In clay, we did all the criteria which is requirement. It's a engineering input. It's a departure. All things the safety. So we did all things in clay.
Clay. Okay.
Then it's go for scanning all things.
Right. Right.
Then again the digital modeling work. They create the data. Then again we build like that.
Right. Okay. Clay modeling has been around for many years.
Yes.
Typically, what is the main evolution, say, in the last half a decade or a decade in clay modeling? Has the process become slightly easier, faster, perhaps more reliable?
Yeah.
Right.
It's very easier.
Right.
If we did half side, then we can scan and mill another side also.
Right.
So previously we did by hand.
So those processes have eased up.
Yes.
Right. And how different is a clay modeling for a passenger vehicle vis-a-vis a commercial vehicle? How would your approach change towards, say, if you're working on a Viro or a Oja?
No, actually we are a sculptor. So
Right.
we have using our hand to create the model.
Right.
So we don't have,
but
we
what
don't think any different between.
Right, but from a design perspective, your previously CVs did not have many design elements. It is all about ownership. It is all about driving business. Now you see that CV is also becoming aspirational. So tell us about that change. Are you rethinking the way clay modeling is done, or the design of a CV is taken care of or approached?
Yeah. Design is very important for CV also.
Right.
Right now market is you can see the product in market.
Right.
Yes.
You are drawing from your passenger vehicle sculpting when you look
Yes.
at a CV.
Yes.
There's a conscious thought over there.
Yes.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you. So behind me you see a live demonstration. You see a 5-axis machine over here, which of course goes in the regular 3-dimensional movement, the XYZ, but then of course it has the 4th and the 5th axis where you can see the machine shaping up this clay model that has been put up here for the live demonstration, and you can see the minute precision with which the machine is working on the 3D design that has been fed into the machine. You can see it's working very closely and very systematically on the lines. Then of course the shavings that you see that have gathered here over the clay model, a dedicated team who specializes in clay modeling comes up to the model, cleans it, and then of course the machine goes about doing its job. The machine is so capable that it can be, the design can be fed into the machine, and overnight the machine can work autonomously to render the clay model. The clay model is a very important part of the physical modeling, based on which the metals and the body in white structure comes together, and then of course that is worked on for the future processes. We are of course celebrating design today. This of course brings in the sophistication to the end vehicle. How does this blend seamlessly into the design? Because we've seen these infotainment screens now sort of being flushed. There's a lot more care taken in terms of seamlessness, multiple screens coming in, but you don't really make out that there is a division internally.
Correct.
So what is the design and sophistication element that you all are consciously working on? Where does this go from here?
So this is just the beginning that we have done.
Right.
Like you can see, currently we have worked on 3 different screens, but probably you must have seen in all the different cars that there's a seamless screens altogether.
Right.
You never know, that might also come because the tech keeps on like updating that you see. So probably in the near future you might see something like that also.
Right. Now, particularly the form factor, there are 2 things. One is it has to be a blend of ruggedness. At the
Correct.
same time, it has to be very delicately packaged together because you don't want to take too much space.
Correct.
How much of that rendering, what is the reiteration and the iterations that go behind that kind of a render, and ultimately fitting it in the vehicle and seeing that
So ideally what the process happens when there's a interior designer who like basically sketches out all the stuff, and then once you know what exactly the interior would look like, then we get an idea like whether it's going to be like a curved display or something like that, and that's how we start our process by developing.
Where do you step in? You will step in at the 3D and the 5-dimensional renders?
Yes.
Okay, and then do you...
So once it gets like a concept visualized, then we step in and then we see what kind of features that we can put in, what kind of screens that can accommodate in the whole ecosystem.
Right. Once you work that out to actually fit it at a clay model level, or perhaps when you are working on the body in white designs, how closely do you work at those levels as well?
So we do, like, we keep on shuffling from design and engineering. So we keep on working together. Like, it's like a whole
very, very seamless and cohesive process.
Yeah.
Right. Where do you expect these processes to go in the near term or the mid term? And specifically, when we talk about a overlap between passenger vehicles and commercial vehicles, commercial vehicles are getting a lot of these.
Correct.
So what's the kind of overlap do you see in perhaps the next 2 to 3 years?
So I think Pratap or Ajay would comment on that.
Sure. But does your approach at the level change?
Yeah. So basically now you see there are, even the commercial vehicle has like big screens altogether.
Right.
So probably you never know that in coming future we might see like a whole ecosystem which Mahindra has.
Right. So which is uniform across.
Yes.
Right.
That
is the time. Now we've seen the entire process that leads up to the clay modeling and then the final render of the vehicle, how it appears in form factor. Yours again is very important towards the interior and the exterior. You know, it's the perhaps the feel factor that comes in from your.
Really for the interior and exterior.
Right.
Yeah.
So what is changing in terms of the design as well as the use of materials over here? Because NVH levels have become very important. So perhaps you are also dealing with that, the touch and the temperature and the comfort of the occupants. How are you looking at all of these things?
So from the NVH point of view, we are actually taking care of plastics which are like, softer. So say like it's less unfilled. So there is a substrate, but how it can become softer.
Okay.
So like my colleague, he also takes care of the realization during the sign-off phase, where the cabin flushness is taken care of. So every sign-off is something that he designs. So
please.
So we are naturally into design intention to the realization.
Okay.
So from the sketch to the realization, we are the transformation.
You're working on the end-to-end process.
Exactly.
Right.
So it starts from the surface validations with highlights, and the zebra line study. There are multiple phases of variability in the digital phases.
Right.
And we will transform into the development phase, where we'll do the evaluation of these kind of under progress, development phases.
Right.
So from this, we'll do the mapping.
Okay.
Where we execute the texturing.
Okay.
So before going in, we have the cavities also,
Okay.
which we will verify the cavity before going for texturing.
Okay.
So this is the multiple phases of evaluation happen. You will see the surface how it is without any bumps. Everything should be clean before executing the texture.
Right, right. So, do you consider NVH in totality, or then you are focused on the noise levels, the vibration, the harshness, all of that? How deep is that study?
Okay, the NVH is all taken care by a separate team.
Right.
Which is engineering will taking part.
Right, but your inputs are very important for
Yes,
them.
we will be giving the inputs to make sure whatever design intention is raised in the industrial phases.
Right, right.
So say like if there is a seat and while folding and coming out there is some kind of noise.
Right.
So we usually interact with supplier. Can we have like a coating over the material?
Okay.
And also in the ingress egress area, can we have a different material which is hidden, however, but still we can put a different material but of the same color.
Right.
So all those ideas and the directions are given from us to the engineering.
Right.
How they can minimize those issues that they are having on the field.
Right,
With
right.
respect to NVH.
Right.
Yeah.
How is this the tier supplier or tier 2, tier 3s that you are working with? How has that ecosystem evolved? Because a lot of it seems to be handworked, but at the same time there is a sophistication, standardization all across.
Yeah.
So
So basically, what we have ensured a process in terms of making certain targets that they have to meet.
Okay.
So for every target, like say for plastics, for materials, we give them a sample which is the final swatch.
Okay.
So say something like this is a swatch which we give them.
Okay.
So the depth and everything, this is the master. So then when they have to produce it and they have to industrialize that on a seat level, they will take this as a reference at their quality check and ensure whether it is meeting.
It is
this
meeting that.
the seat.
Okay.
So that is for haptic, hence the feel and everything, they try to maintain that.
Right.
If there is any gap, it goes back to the supplier chain from where he's got the material and they go to their reference, because each stage we have these masters given to them.
Right, right.
So that's how we actually manage the show in terms of maintaining the quality.
We are also seeing a lot of color play and a boldness coming in the use of these materials. Do you think it's a significant change perhaps from the last 5 years to looking at the overlap between both passenger vehicles and commercial vehicles?
So we have developed multiple colors like exterior. You can able to see the very boldness is coming in picture on the exterior colors.
Right.
So it's deriving from the market study and it's like that.
Right, right. So it's catering to aspirations of both
Yes,
PV as well as CV side. And in the next 2 to 3 years, where do you see this going? Are there any white spaces that you all are working on? Whether it could be the supplier potential delivery or the quality adherence. What is it that you want
The future, it will go on.
Right, right. It's an ongoing
Give you that.
It's basically a like
ongoing process.
Yes.
ongoing process. We'll be looking at now the change in the materials that are coming.
Right.
And a lot of natural materials are coming. So a lot of things are which is going on in the market.
Right.
If you go to any of these auto tech, the tech shows or something.
Yes.
you'll see
We're seeing a lot of that.
So that's kind of defined the trend for the future.
Right. So everybody is talking a lot of sustainable materials that perhaps are also very important from the safety perspective, and then of course your the occupant comfort, etc. How much of it do you feel needs an overhaul at this stage, or do you feel the industry is at a healthy state in terms of where we are right now?
I would not say healthy state as
Okay,
of now,
sure.
because in Indian market is actually very price sensitive.
Yes.
But we have started taking that step in a smaller amount. So like
Right.
say in the seats fabric, we have now incorporated PET material.
Yes. The plastic
slowly,
bottle.
So slowly we are in each of the components we are introducing those materials.
Any significant materials that were the mainstay previously and now have faded out completely? You're not using them anymore.
Could be the old chroming and some technology which has completely gone out.
That is gone out.
Yeah, because of the unsustainable processes and the chemicals that it was using.
Right.
Apart from that,
You still continue to work with ABS and resin and all of that is still there.
But those also has now evolved from the supplier point of view. They
Right.
have also made it more, sustainable in their own ways. Those
Right.
materials.
Right.
So we have a material team in MRV who is working into this.
Okay.
So all the testing and everything is done by them.
Okay.
And if we are suggesting anything, it goes to them, it gets quality checked, and further come back to us, and then we continue our work further in the development phase.
Right.
So it keeps going on
Back and forth.
Yeah. So with the updated trend or anything, those specs also starts, getting updated.
Right, and in one parting comment, you said price pressures in India are real. So, what is
But
the?
we've been doing really good with
Yeah, I understand. Yes, exactly.
So it was just, but how to incorporate all of that.
Yeah, that I think will be the challenge area and continues to be the challenge area. Okay, thank you so much. Lovely speaking. Thank you. I saw you getting a taste of VR. Tell us about the role of VR, the graduation of VR when it comes to the design stage in both passenger and commercial vehicles.
So VR stage is used before the physical model is made.
Right.
So it helps us analyze the design, the CMF, the color and materials, the graining of the textures.
Okay.
And so it also it is like a configurator
Right.
before the vehicle is made.
Right. Now you mentioned textures. I'm tempted to ask you. One is, of course, you get a sense of your in detail visualizing everything on how it comes together. How does something like a texture come into a visual element? Because that is something that is very closely related to touch and feel.
Yeah.
How does VR step in over there?
So we have the actual textures scanned in, and we can apply that on the vehicle.
Okay. So then those renders allow you to do that.
So it is actually the real feel what we have it in vehicles.
Right. How much of it has been applied in the real world, both on the passenger vehicle lineup over here and the commercial vehicle?
The entire vehicle is 1:1.
Right.
Yeah.
So any particular milestones in the CV aspect of things, for example, for a Vero or a Oja that you might have been in terms of the process involvement?
CV we haven't used it that much.
Okay.
But the passenger vehicles are much more.
So for the 9E or the 6, you would have hands-on used this technology. Where is this from? Is it an in-house thing or?
Yes, in-house.
In-house. Okay. And when a USP of this whole packaged hardware that allows you to get to this level of sophistication?
It is cost effective.
Okay.
So before making physical models, like if we make the models, it is going to cost us very much.
Right. And how recent is this?
So we have been using it since Thar.
Okay.
Rocks.
Thar Rocks. Okay. All right. We are experiencing the role of VR when it comes to validating the technology before the actual vehicle is put in place, and this becomes a very cost-effective technology that Mahindra is deploying both for passenger vehicles and commercial vehicles. Of course, very nascent when it comes to commercial vehicles, but you can eventually see the road down the line that this will, of course, have an impact on the way commercial vehicles are assessed as well. So right now you can look at the joystick in my hand and you can look at the VR headgear. I'm able to toy with play with the colors of the vehicle. Right now, from a VR perspective, I am inside the cabin over here of the Thar Rocks, and I'm actually using the joystick to control the electronics in the cabin. So it makes visualization of the vehicle very, very easy. And then, of course, when the vehicle is finally put together, a lot of white spaces are cleared, and the company gets, as they've been repeatedly saying through the morning, there is very less dilution from conceptualizing to commercialization.